In old Hollywood, a name could make or break your career. Many stars left their real names behind to create iconic identities the world would never forget. These are the legends who changed their names, and changed Hollywood forever. Marilyn Monroe. She was born as Norma Jeane Mortensen, a shy girl with a troubled past and a dream far bigger than her reality. But Hollywood didn't have space for shy girls, it wanted icons. So, Norma Jeane transformed into Marilyn Monroe, a name that sparkled like the star she was destined to become. Marilyn was suggested by a studio executive for its old-school glamour, while Monroe was her mother's maiden name. The change wasn't just cosmetic, it was a complete rebirth. With platinum blonde curls, a breathy voice, and irresistible charm, Marilyn became the ultimate symbol of beauty and desire in the 1950s. But behind the stage name was still Norma, fragile, intelligent, and forever chasing the love and acceptance fame couldn't buy. Her new identity opened doors to global fame, hit films, and an everlasting legacy, but it also became a mask she could never quite remove. Marilyn Monroe wasn't just a name change, it was Hollywood alchemy, turning a troubled young woman into a legend that still mesmerizes the world today. Audrey Hepburn. Before the world knew her as the epitome of grace and elegance, she was born Etta Van Heemstra Hepburn Rustin. During World War II, to avoid Nazi attention, her mother briefly called her Etta Van Heemstra. But as she stepped into the world of dance, modeling, and eventually film, that long aristocratic name was trimmed down to something simpler, sharper, Audrey Hepburn. The name change wasn't just for show, it was a branding move that helped position her as an international icon. Audrey gave her a modern, approachable edge, while Hepburn retained a touch of old-world charm. With her unique mix of delicate beauty, commanding screen presence, and humble heart, Audrey rose to stardom in classics like Breakfast at Tiffany's and Roman Holiday. The name Audrey Hepburn became synonymous with timeless style and sophistication. But few knew the complex history behind it, a name shaped by war, survival, and reinvention. Changing her name wasn't about hiding her past, it was about crafting a future worthy of the spotlight. And she did, brilliantly. Joan Crawford. She was born Lucille Fay Lesueur, a name that studio executives thought sounded too real and far too awkward for a glamorous movie marquee. So, in true Hollywood fashion, they rebranded her. Through a fan magazine contest, she was given the name Joan Crawford, a name she reportedly disliked for sounding too harsh, but it stuck. The transformation was instant. Lucille disappeared, and Joan Crawford emerged as a fierce, magnetic screen presence. With her striking looks, steely determination, and undeniable talent, Crawford clawed her way to the top in a male-dominated industry, starring in films like Mildred Pierce, for which she won an Oscar. The name Joan Crawford came to represent power, glamour, and Hollywood royalty, but behind the persona was a woman who had to fight for every inch of success. Her new name opened doors, reshaped her identity, and helped her escape the limitations of her humble beginnings. Joan Crawford didn't just change her name, she changed her destiny, proving that in Hollywood, reinvention isn't just possible, it's necessary. Judy Garland. Before she lit up the screen as Dorothy in The Wizard of Oz, she was born Frances Ethel Gumm, a name that didn't quite sparkle in Hollywood lights. Performing in vaudeville with her sisters as the Gumm Sisters, Frances had undeniable talent, but the name left audiences unimpressed. So, at the suggestion of a fellow performer, she changed her name to Judy Garland. Judy was inspired by a popular song of the time, and Garland was chosen for its elegance and flow. With that transformation, Frances became Judy, a name that would soon echo through cinema history. Her voice was electric, her smile unforgettable, and her performances timeless. But behind the glittering name was a young girl thrust into fame too fast, battling pressures and personal demons. Still, the name Judy Garland became legendary, tied forever to one of the most iconic performances in film history. Her name change wasn't just about image, it was the first step in creating a legacy. Judy Garland didn't just follow the yellow brick road, she paved her own path to stardom. Rita Hayworth. Before she became Hollywood's ultimate femme fatale, she was born Margarita Carmen Cancino, a name that reflected her Spanish heritage and dance roots. Early in her career, Margarita was cast in exotic roles, often typecast due to her ethnicity. Determined to break free from those limits, studio executives pushed for a transformation. Her hairline was raised, her hair dyed auburn, and most notably, her name was changed to Rita Hayworth. Rita preserved a trace of her original name, while Hayworth was borrowed from her mother's Anglo last name. The new identity worked like magic. Rita Hayworth quickly became a silver screen siren, known for her sultry looks and unforgettable roles in films like Gilda. But the reinvention came at a personal cost. Rita often felt torn between who she was and who Hollywood wanted her to be. Still, the name change opened doors that Margarita Cancino couldn't. It made her a star, a pin-up icon, and a legend. Rita Hayworth didn't just adapt to Hollywood, she reshaped herself to rule it. Hedi Lamar. Born as Hedwig Eva Maria Kiesler in Vienna, she was already causing a stir in European cinema with her daring performances and striking beauty. But when she arrived in Hollywood, her name was considered too foreign, too hard to market. To reinvent her for American stardom, MGM studio head Louis B. Mayer renamed her Hedi Lamar, inspired by silent film actress Barbara Lamar. The new name gave her a sleek, mysterious allure, perfect for the exotic, glamorous roles she would soon dominate. Hedi became an icon of classic Hollywood, starring in films like Algiers and Samson and Delilah. But behind the dazzling name and face was a brilliant mind. Off-screen, Lamar co-invented a frequency-hopping technology that would later pave the way for Wi-Fi and Bluetooth. Yet, in her lifetime, she was known more for her looks than her intellect. Changing her name helped launch her acting career, but it also masked the genius beneath the surface. Hedi Lamar wasn't just a screen siren, she was a woman who defied expectations, even if Hollywood never fully saw it. Veronica Lake. Born Constance Frances Marie Ockelman, this future Hollywood star had humble beginnings in Brooklyn, New York. Early in her career, she was known as Constance Keene, but it wasn't until a studio executive gave her the stage name Veronica Lake that her destiny truly changed. The name was chosen to evoke mystery and allure, perfectly matching her signature, peekaboo, hairstyle that became an instant sensation. Veronica Lake's new identity helped her break into stardom with films like This Gun for Hire and The Blue Dahlia, making her one of the most glamorous and recognizable faces of the 1940s. The name wasn't just a label, it was a carefully crafted persona that fit the femme fatale roles she often played. Behind the glamorous name, Veronica struggled with the pressures of Hollywood, typecasting, and personal hardships, but the name change gave her a spotlight she might never have reached as Constance Ockelman. Veronica Lake's transformation was a bold reinvention, proof that in old Hollywood, a name could be the key to lasting fame. Cary Grant. Born Archibald Leach in Bristol, England, this future Hollywood legend had a name that didn't quite fit the suave, debonair image he would come to embody. When he moved to Hollywood, studio executives encouraged him to adopt a new name that sounded more glamorous and memorable. Inspired by a combination of actor Grant Withers and actress Carrie Nelson, he became Cary Grant, a name that perfectly captured his charm and sophistication. With his polished accent, impeccable style, and effortless charisma, Cary Grant quickly rose to become one of cinema's most beloved leading men. From classics like North by Northwest to Bringing Up Baby, the name Cary Grant became synonymous with elegance and wit. But behind the polished name was a man who worked hard to reinvent himself, leaving behind a modest upbringing for the dazzling world of Hollywood. Changing his name wasn't just about fame, it was about crafting an identity that could carry him to stardom. Cary Grant's transformation showed how a name could become a brand, and a brand could become a legend. Barbara Stanwyck. Born Ruby Catherine Stevens in Brooklyn, New York, she began her career with a name that felt ordinary in the glitzy world of Hollywood. Early on, she knew a change was needed to stand out. Inspired by the Stanwick Country Club, she tweaked the spelling to create the unique and elegant stage name Barbara Stanwyck. The new name carried a sense of sophistication and strength that matched her powerful on-screen presence. Barbara quickly became one of the most versatile and respected actresses of her time, starring in classics like Double Indemnity and The Strange Love of Martha Ivers. The name change helped her break free from anonymity and become a household name. More than just a pretty face, Barbara Stanwyck was known for her fierce determination, intelligence, and captivating performances. Her new name was more than a label, it was a symbol of her reinvention and rise to Hollywood royalty. Through the power of a name, Ruby Stevens transformed into Barbara Stanwyck, leaving a legacy that still shines today. John Wayne. Born Marion Robert Morrison in Iowa, this future Hollywood icon had a name that didn't quite fit the rugged, tough guy persona he would come to embody. Early in his career, studio executives decided a more masculine, memorable name was necessary to match his larger-than-life presence. The name John Wayne was chosen, strong, simple, and distinctly American. With that change, Marion transformed into the legendary Duke, starring in dozens of westerns and war films that defined classic American cinema. John Wayne's new identity perfectly captured the spirit of the American frontier, tough, brave, and honorable. The name helped him become one of the biggest box office draws of his time and a symbol of strength and masculinity. Behind the name change was a man who embraced reinvention, understanding that Hollywood was as much about image as talent. John Wayne didn't just change his name, he crafted a persona that would endure for generations, forever etched in the heart of old Hollywood. Time may pass, but true legends never fade. These weren't just stars, they were dazzling dreams brought to life. Relive the glamour, the grace, and the golden era. Like the video, comment your favorite icon, and subscribe to Golden Age Icon, where vintage magic never dies.